Well, I'm glad you said that we all have choices. And that's what I'd sort of like to talk about here. We have the choice what to put our attention on. And Lord knows the news media is calling us to put our attention on one thing, and our friends calling us to put our attention on something else. And our attention affects our reality. And that is what our lesson right now is, what do we want to create as our reality? And before I continue with that, I'd like to say I see so many beautiful faces of friends and people I've seen before. And my heart goes out to you. And wish I could talk to all of you individually. Maybe if we had a small group sometime of a dozen, we could do that. But right now we have over around 80 people, so I won't be able to talk to all of you personally. But getting back to choices, I'd like to read to you a quotation from Albert Einstein. Everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. So choose the reality you want, put your attention on that, and your consciousness will create that. That's from a scientist, Albert Einstein. Now, why does that work, that we can create our reality? That's because each of us is a ray of God. Each of us is an embodiment of the divine. That's why in India they say namaste, the God in me greets the God in you. And not only are we gods, but we chose to dream that we are mortals, which is very bizarre when you think of it. But so we are all gods having a dream that we're on earth in a physical body with certain limitations. And we chose to embody on earth at this particular time. It's not an accident that we're here. No matter how strange it may seem. So why would God choose to embody on the earth at this time, having the parents that you had growing up where you are? Why did I choose to embody and be at the foot of this mountain where right now we have lots of smoke? And when I turn on the news, I read the latest disaster. It's a very bizarre time to be alive. But it's not by accident. So each of us has that choice. What do we want to put our attention on at this moment and in every moment? And what you choose to put your attention on is going to create your dream. And it's a dream in which we all participate. We are all active participants in this dream. We are God dreaming that we have certain limitations, but as we awaken to who we are, those limitations can disappear. So that is the purpose of meditation, to turn your attention inward and find that ray of sunlight, that ray from the center of creation, that is the real you, that is God. And the more you can keep your attention on that, the more you can alter your reality. So let us just turn inward for a minute and feel that presence. You can close your eyes if you want, or keep them open. But you turn your attention inward, and it may be easier for some of you just to feel love. Think of someone you love, even a pet, and you feel a warmth here. Or it might be easier to visualize the sun, a great sun in the center of your chest. This is the meditation Saint Germain gives in the first chapter of Unveiled Mysteries, which is an amazing book I would recommend everyone read, how Guy Ballard met Saint Germain on the slopes of Mount Shasta in the 1930s, and the teachings that the master gave. But the basic teaching is very simple. It exists in many different cultures, especially India, where you visualize the light within you and you imagine your body is like a crystal, that it has no physical substance. And that light fills every cell of your being. Your body is like a crystal illuminated from inside, and the light becomes brighter and brighter, shines out into the room, through the walls, into your community, and you gradually expand that sun till it fills the entire earth. And the earth itself becomes a sun of light, a sun of God consciousness. And that is what the Gayatri Mantra attempts to do. When you do the Gayatri Mantra, you are invoking the consciousness of the sun to become your consciousness, or God consciousness to be your consciousness. But that sunlight has other colors hidden in it. A beam of light has the basic 7 colors, but you don't normally see them unless you see the light going through a prism or a drop of dew or some sacred stone. And the quality of light that is most purifying is violet. So that is why Saint Germain has been teaching humanity to invoke that violet light, called the violet fire. He did not create that. It exists by itself. It is in the light. But you can call it forth consciously to purify yourself and your environment and the entire earth. Sometimes I've seen a group of people meditating, people who are not really aware of the violet fire, and I saw violet in the room. It's because violet has that purifying quality. As the frequency is being raised to a higher dimension, violet is the color that is invoked to do that. So I'm asking Saint Germain to impart that consciousness to you. You can say, Saint Germain, please teach me how to use the violet flame or the violet fire, and make me one of your emissaries so that I can help purify the earth while I purify myself. and it will be done. So it is to increase the use of violet fire that Saint Germain asked me to write these books on the Violet Tara. The first one was I Am Violet Tara, Goddess of Forgiveness and Freedom. And then the second one, I Am Violet Tara in Action, Lessons in Mastery. These are both available for download from my website, or you can get the paperbacks on Amazon. And it really came out of the blue that he asked me to write these books. And he transmitted the basic essence of it directly from his mind to my mind in a second. Of course, I had to choose the words, which took me several months. But it uses creative visualization. It's what they call in Tibet the use of the yidam. A yidam is a meditational deity. And these are a great assistance. I give the example in the book of the yidam that we call in the West Santa Claus. As a child, I was told Santa Claus was real. And I was told he knows if I've been good or bad, and that he wants to give me what I want. So I trusted in that. I prayed to Santa Claus. I tried to live a good life, at least the few weeks preceding Christmas. I tried to be a good little boy. And Santa Claus observed me, and I made a list of what I wanted, and Santa Claus pretty much gave me what I wanted. I even made an offering to him on Christmas Eve. I put out cookies and milk, and he drank them. They were gone in the morning. And he gave me the presents I wanted. Then, of course, later I discovered Santa Claus was not real, but he was real for a while. So it's the things that you dwell on become your reality. If you go to horror movies and you think about those monsters and demons, they become real, and you start looking under your bed at night, and in the closet, you're afraid what might be in the closet, and so on. You live a life where those beings are part of your life. And it's the same with many things. What your attention is on, you become. So if your attention is on, let's say, Ganesh, that's the Hindu being that removes obstacles. He has the head of an elephant, the body of a man. Well, many people would say, that's not real. Elephant DNA does not bond with human DNA. But Ganesh is a very real being. You have millions of people meditating on Ganesh and getting results the same way I got results from Santa Claus. Because Ganesh is an embodiment of your own consciousness. And the more you dwell on him, the more you accept him as a God, the more real he becomes. So your I am presence, which is your God self, there's a picture on the wall here. This is a very real being. And that God is very smart. And God knows what you're thinking at every second. And if you want God to appear as Ganesh or Santa Claus or as Lakshmi, whatever you want, God will come to you in that form. And it works. And I have had many experiences now with Violet Tara. I had a very profound healing, dental healing, where I was in agony in the middle of the night thinking of going to the emergency room. And I called on Violet Tara, It took about an hour and I fell asleep. And when I woke in the morning, the pain was gone. And this is now over like a year and a half, 2 years later, never had a recurring problem. And many people have written to me and told me of their amazing stories. Some people in South Korea have written to me, told me of amazing healings that they have had. And I appreciate your sharing those with me. Dharma had some amazing experiences also with Violet Tara, where someone was healed. So Violet Tara is an aspect of God which you can call forth. And I believe Saint Germain asked me to write about this because many people were calling on him personally to send the violet fire here and there and many places. And he is happy to do that, but he is also saying, you have the same ability I have. You can invoke the violet fire yourself. Don't depend on me. And of course, your I am presence can do it directly without violet Tara. You can say, I am the presence of God, and see yourself as a ball of light or as a Christ being above a certain location, sending a beam of light from each hand down wherever you want the violet fire to go, and it will work. But visualizing yourself as a goddess made of violet light, like an amethyst, radiating violet light, that can be a great aid. It's called a meditational tool. It's very hard for most people to visualize what God looks like. That is why we have so many different embodiments of God to help us focus on. Each person chooses the embodiment that is most real for them. For some, it is Jesus. And that is wonderful. Or Mother Mary, or Kuan Yin, whoever it is, whatever is most real for you. But I have been working with Violet Tara and find that to be very effective tool. So I thought one thing we could do today is to actually invoke violet fire for the earth. But first, I would like to ask if there are any questions about what I've said so far. You don't have to ask a question, but if you have one, I promised there would be questions and answers. So I'm opening now to a question, if you have any, about what I've said so far. Please don't ask questions about what's happening in the government or political or medical questions. I am open to talk with people privately by appointment, but I don't want to get into those kind of questions now.
There's a question, Peter, if I may. How do you
Yes.
stay centered in I am presence during busy day like work?
That's a very good question. How to stay centered in the I am presence? Well, even to go into the I am presence is not something you can always do in a second. But let's say you have a busy day ahead and you start the morning with a meditation where you contact the I am presence. And you can say, I'm going to have a very busy day today. I ask you to come forth in and through me throughout this day. Remind me when I need to do something, or step in and guide me. And you're going to have to do it in a very dramatic way, because I'm going to be thinking about lots of things. And God hears you. You could not take a breath without God. God is the force that makes you breathe, that tells your heart to beat. Doctors don't know where those impulses come from. They say, oh, it comes from your brain. Well, where does the brain get it? Well, it comes from the heart. But where does the heart get it? It comes from the brain. But it ultimately comes from that tube of light from the I am presence, comes down through the top of the head and is anchored in the heart. So one way you get the guidance, it's not necessarily audibly. You might not hear God say, do this or do that. It's simply a feeling. You'll get like a palpitation in your heart and you go, oh, that's God. I'm not supposed to go in that direction. I should maybe go in the other direction. Or if you find yourself starting to become angry at someone, you'll get that feeling, or God will say, Peter, that's anger. You don't want that. You asked me to remind you, so I'm reminding you. Have forgiveness for that person. So one thing I say every morning, I am the great divine director of this day. The divine director is actually a being. We don't know his real name, but that is his function. It's like the CEO of a corporation. It is also an aspect of your own consciousness. There is a great divine director of your being. And you invoke that when you say, I am. Whatever you say with I am that follows I am is what you start to create for yourself. So in the morning, it's I am the great divine director of this day. Then if you have to go to a meeting, I am the great divine director of this meeting. I am being shown what to say, what to do. I am the great divine director of this phone call, or I am the great divine director of this Zoom meeting. I am being guided at every moment. Now, I'm not hearing a voice, but I have a feeling I'm sort of riding a wave or a beam of light that's in my heart. And each of us can do that, even on a very busy day. And it helps if you just try to do one thing at a time. Like if you're trying to cook and you're texting a friend at the same time, and you're also watering the plants. The chances are one of those things is not going to work out too well. So better to say, I have 3 things I want to do in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to do them one at a time. That way it's easier to get the guidance. And most often that guidance comes through the feeling. And nobody can really get that for you. Sometimes I've been driving down the road thinking I'm going, say, to the post office. And then I just get a feeling, it's almost like the car wants to turn left. And if I follow that, then I hear park. And I get out, think, what am I doing here? Someone walks up to me on the sidewalk, said, oh, I didn't know how to connect with you. I've been praying I would run into you. And it just worked perfectly. Now, if I had said, no, I decided I'm going to the post office, that's where I'm going, then I would have missed that person. So you develop what is called the innate feeling for right direction by meditating on the presence in your heart. It really comes through your heart. It's not the physical heart, it's in the center of your chest, sort of approximately where the thymus gland is under the sternum. And it's the same feeling as if I say, who are you? If you ask me that, I wouldn't say, oh, me? Or me, I point to my heart. Who, me? That's because I feel my identity is linked with this center. That is where my God flame is anchored in my human body. So the more you meditate on that presence in the center of your chest, the more clearly you will be able to get the guidance. And eventually you just become one with that, so you just spontaneously act. That's like the ascended masters. They don't need to sit and meditate on something. They're in the perpetual oneness with the presence, and they just act spontaneously, and it's the right thing. I hope that answers the question.
We have another person, Disha, would like to ask. I will ask her to unmute herself, and then.
Hi, Peter. Disha here.
Nice to hear you.
Same here. Peter, in the starting, you said that, we have to use certain energies for us to get the results out of it. So my question is, how do you exactly use that energy? It's all about energy, and you have to tap into that energy. So how do you do that?
You mean like if I say send energy to heal somebody or something like that, right?
Yes, you said that you have to focus on that energy. You have to, because everything around us is energy, and you have to utilize that energy to get through that what you want.
Yes. Well, we all emanate, we all have an energy field around us that emanates from our heart center as well as all the different chakras. Now, if you are sitting at your desk working and someone comes up behind you, like a family member, you probably know who it is without looking. That's because you feel their energy, right? So,
correct.
So you're feeling their energy. Other people feel your energy. Like if you go out in the woods, like even this tree behind me, I feel its energy. It's giving some, it's emanating a very kind of healing, peaceful forest energy, even if it's very small. It's aspiring to be a big tree someday. And it's giving me kind of a soothing energy. And I feel from each of you, you see, the illusion is that we're all looking at a computer screen and we're just seeing pixels on the screen. In reality, we are in a temple somewhere. I say in reality, one of our higher bodies. We have many bodies all vibrating at different frequencies. So those higher bodies are now meeting in a temple somewhere. In fact, we can say, let's imagine that temple is on the side of Mount Shasta. It's a temple with a white marble floor and pillars carved from amethyst. And those pillars are illuminated from within, a beautiful violet light coming out. So the whole temple is filled with beautiful violet light. So that body has a certain energy. And as you invoke your higher self, you increase that energy, and it goes where your thoughts go. And this is how distance healing takes place. That something which both Annika and Dharma practice is distance healing. Doesn't matter where you are on the earth, they can put up their hands and say, I am the presence of God, sending light, healing light out to whoever that is. And that person feels it. Like they get comments from people later, I felt it when you put your hands up. There was a video of Annika on my YouTube channel, and people say they felt it when she put her hands up. So
we have another question here. Sometimes things don't turn how you thought they would in life. What are some tools to surrender and let go of how you thought your life would be?
That's what we're all working on, sort of. We all have certain ideas how we would like our life to go, but you have to trust that there is a plan for your life, That I know. And I had the memory once before I embodied on Earth. I didn't really want to come back to Earth. And there was a master on either side of me with their hands on my shoulder, pushing me toward the Earth. And I said, I don't want to go back there. And they said, you agreed to, it's part of the plan. And I said, I really don't remember that, but I know that I had been shown a plan. And who the people are who are parents, the major relationships in this life are all part of an agreement we made. These may be people we injured in a past life or people who injured us. And we agreed to come back into relationship with them to help heal those wounds. And my mother came to me 10 years after her death and asked me to let go of those wounds. And I said, I did when you died, I let go of all of it. She said, no, you're still holding on to some. So the next couple of months, I had to work on that. She said that freed her to move on to a higher level, and it freed me also. So even though things don't go pleasantly all the time, or even much of the time, you have to trust that there is a plan for you, and there's a reason why these things are happening. And I have to say, you are all very brave, powerful beings to be in embodiment at this time. My friend Danny and Brinkley says that you are all powerful spiritual beings. It takes great courage to be here. You have to be a warrior. I don't mean a warrior who hurts people. I mean a warrior who uses the sword of discriminating intelligence to cut through illusions, to cut through confusion. And there's certain forces that try to keep you ensnared in that. The news media is one of them. If you dwell on the news, you become enmeshed in illusions and delusions and negative energy patterns. That doesn't mean to live in ignorance, but it does mean not to keep your attention focused on those things. Try to keep your attention focused on the God presence within. You have a choice at every moment what to focus on. Instead of sitting hours in front of the TV dwelling on the news, you could take some of that time to focus on the inner light. And if that is too difficult, simply on the breath. This is called Vapasana. You feel the in-breath and the out-breath. And when a thought comes up, you label it thinking. Like you thought, what about that earthquake? Is there going to be an earthquake here? You label that thinking and come back to the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Gradually, your mind slows down. You are training your mind like a little puppy that wants to go this way and that way. You pull in on the leash, and after a while, the puppy walks by your ankle. And it's happy. So you have to train your mind not to get pulled this way and that way by every thought, feeling, and emotion, and sensation, and craving, every desire. I used to be sort of addicted to chocolate chip cookies. And if the masters wanted me to go, so I knew every place in town where they sold these cookies. You know, at the bus stop, at the health food store, at the hardware store, they had a little jar of cookies. So if the master wanted me to go to a certain location, they would sort of dangle the chocolate chip cookie in front of me, and I would go to get it. Then on the way, I would run into the person that I was meant to see. Then the desire for the cookie disappeared. Well, after a while, I weaned myself of the cookie craving, and the masters could guide me directly. I would just get the feeling, get up and go out the door, turn left, walk down the street. There's somebody I want you to meet. In fact, that's how I met Annika. I had this feeling, go to the health food store. I said, I don't need anything. Well, go there. I want you to meet someone. She had the same feeling. Go there. And I was wandering around, and I started just talking to the guy stocking the shelves. Then she said she'd seen my videos. She said, oh, you're Peter, aren't you? And I said, yes. And so then we realized we've been sent there to connect with each other. It all happened very naturally. But I think I got off the subject here. I don't know if I answered the question. I don't remember even. Was that helpful? Yeah.
We do have another couple of questions here. One of them is, can one person using their I am presence and invoking the violet terra to positive effect overcome the negative thoughts from many people who don't use their practices? Please.
Absolutely. You see around this human body with a tube of violet light, that's the aura of protection. So when you meditate, you can ask for that tube of light to be around you. You can see it as a crystal tube, like a bottle almost. And then in that tube is this violet fire. And you can ask for that to be fully self-sustained. So it would go something like, I am the violet consuming flame, fully self-sustained in my aura throughout this day, by the power of God, which I am. And just trust that when you need it, that comes forth. And people have told me sometimes, oh, I see this violet around you. What's that? And I think, oh, really? That's because in the morning I did this affirmation, and then it comes in whenever it's needed. In fact, that violet light can protect you from many negative conditions, including health conditions. It's like the ultraviolet light from, they're using, some buildings now are using ultraviolet light to sterilize the atmosphere. Well, the violet fire you invoke is that violet fire, but at a different frequency. So yes, definitely you can call for this protection. You can also call for Archangel Michael with his sword of blue flame. Imagine he's got this sword above his head, and he's made of blue light, and the sword is made of blue light. And you ask him to free you from any negative condition. And if you know someone who's thinking of you in a negative way, ask for the violet flame to protect you, to dissolve that energy, and ask for Archangel Michael to free you from that. So is there another question?
Carrie Ann wanted you to repeat that affirmation that you said she missed it. Oh.
I am the violet consuming flame, fully established, sustained, and maintained about my mind, body, and world throughout this day. By the power of God, which I am, I thank you, and it is done. And there is a book, actually, I wrote that has these affirmations in it. I am Affirmations and the Secret of Their Effective Use. It takes about 20 minutes to read through all these affirmations. And if you did that every morning, even if you couldn't meditate, just read through as many as you have time for, and it reprograms your thinking and it charges your aura with positive energy.
Thank you, Peter. I would like to remind everyone this is being recorded, so anything you need to be repeated, you can go back to the video later on. There's one more question, and that is, are there circumstances when you would use a higher octave violet flame or downgrade for a lower octave violet flame, depending on the circumstance?
Well, I think it's great that you can invoke the violet flame and just trust that it will have the correct frequency that you need. I am the violet consuming fire. Yeah. So, and it's coming really from your higher self. So the I am presence knows what frequency to transmit. Okay, so what I would like to do now is to lead us in a practice, actually a service. This is not just some inner meditation or delusion, that this is a service to humanity that will benefit ourselves. And one thing to do when all the difficult situations people are in, I get calls and emails every day from people very distraught over what's happening now in society and in the world. I'm very much aware of what is going on. And one thing we can do is to do things to benefit others. And that benefits us as well. So rather than dwelling on the negative situations, if you can turn that around and send light into the situation. Like the only reason I look at the news is to guide me where to send my prayers. It's not the only reason, but a main reason. So I saw there was an earthquake in Turkey. So I send prayers for the people in Turkey. And I call on the masters to stabilize the earth in that part of the world. And you can visualize yourself as a divine being above Turkey and call on the ascended masters to accompany you. They need our prayers to intercede. They can intercede to some extent, but the more we call on them, the more they can intercede. It's like the prime directive on Star Wars. They could visit other solar systems, other planets, but they were not allowed to interfere unless the people on the planet asked them to. And so we have great help being offered to us now. And so let us call on them, these ascended masters and gods and goddesses. And not only does this help the people you're praying for, it helps you. It transmutes the negativity that tries to intercede on your mind and in your feelings, and it turns it into something positive. You can say, I know I am meant to be here at this moment, and I have the choice at this moment to dwell on the negative or to do something positive. In fact, you are all helping me right now, because without this Zoom session, I might be tempted to start looking at the news and dwelling on the negative things and get depressed. So for the past few days, I've been looking forward to this, and that's been creating positive energy for me and giving me a positive focus. So let us go forth now as beings of light. So the physical body will stay right where you are in front of your computer, but we have higher bodies. Now here's a picture of the I Am Presence by Marius Michael George. You see, there's the etheric body. There's also a causal body, as well as the monad, the I Am Presence, the ball of light. We actually have 7 bodies, but I don't want to go into that now. So, and they all operate at different frequencies. So one of our bodies now is meeting in a temple of violet fire on the slopes of Mount Shasta, with Saint Germain standing before us. So let us close our eyes and just imagine that, or try to tune into that. Saint Germain, we ask your blessings on this activity. We are your students who seek to be of assistance to you. Please help us go forth to wherever we are needed on the earth. So what I would like to suggest is you each pick out some place on the earth where you know assistance is needed. That could be to an individual, like a friend who might be in the hospital, a family member, or a particular town, a government, a place where there's armed conflict, any situation. And I'm going to suggest you see yourself as Violet Tara. You see this goddess of violet light, which is an aspect of yourself. So you transform yourself into Violet Tara. You feel like this amethyst light in your heart. And your body becomes filled with violet light. And you hold up your hands and send beams of violet light down to the earth. And you can send a beam from your third eye and also from your heart. I am Tara of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am blazing the violet consuming flame wherever my attention rests right now. You can keep saying, I am Tara of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. Or you can recite the Sanskrit mantra for Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. So I am saying, I am blazing the violet fire throughout Washington, D.C., dissolving and consuming all negative energy, raising all Congress people into the consciousness of their I am presence, now and forever, fully self-sustained. And you can go to all the capitals of the world and do the same thing. I am blazing the violet consuming flame throughout all hospitals, healing all who are sick. I am the violet consuming flame, blazing throughout the atmosphere of the earth, dissolving and consuming all smoke and pollution and negative energy, raising the earth into a pristine, pure planet where beings live in happiness and health and wholeness by the power of God, which I am. And it is done now, and I thank you. So you look around in this higher body and see the rest of us all around the earth, we're all like ascended masters doing our work. And I call on the ascended masters of the Ascended Council of Light to be with us now and amplify our visualizations and prayers. Saint Germain, Jesus, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Violet Tara, Great Divine Director, Babaji, whoever you feel close to, ask them to be with us, enfolding the earth in violet fire. This cannot hurt anyone. This is not a fire that burns. This is a fire that dissolves negative energy or anything that is not of the light. You can continue this meditation on your own after this meeting ends, which will be soon. And as you come back into your physical body, you bring that violet light with you. Just feel like there's an amethyst in the center of your chest. And there's the great focus of God as living light within the center of that amethyst. And that light, you can call for it to be fully self-sustained. I am the violet fire, fully self-sustained in my body, my mind, my world, keeping me healthy and transmitting healing wherever I go. Wherever my attention is, I send forth that violet fire. So I am very grateful. I'm going to end this meeting now. Please feel free to continue meditating on your own.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. I love you all. Wish I could talk to you all individually.